Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. Appreciate it. Today we have some new breaking news to do with possible evidence found in Lucin, Utah. Shout out to Ty Corbin for his video coverage most recently. I believe at this moment in time of recording, uploaded 3 hours ago to his channel. Ty Corbin acknowledging a fellow individual searcher out there who did come across a piece of evidence, more specifically like a baseball cap, a hat, a John Deere branded one, okay? We'll be looking more at that later, show you some footage too from Ty Corbin's point of view. Then I want to add on with my points, my thoughts, analysis, okay, to make sense of the matter, because this has only just happened recently, okay? So we need to slow things down and try and understand what's exactly happened, okay? And maybe today I can go on the maps to show the location of where Ty Corbin was at, or more so, the direction he was looking in. And if any corrections need to be made in the video, you are welcome to. As said, right corner of the screen, there is a live chat box. Make sure to use it. Share your thoughts, opinions, and reactions on the matter, the key topics and talking points today, okay? Now, before we go any further, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my last video, as there was more breaking news regarding the Dylan Rounds case, more specifically Justin Rounds and him calling out Don Hately. The message has been deleted ever since, but it was recent. I documented it on my channel, Justin's response call out. If you'd like to see what that message was all about and what Justin had to say to Don Hately, be sure to check out my last video, link down below in the pinned comment section, okay? So, a bit to talk about today. As well, we need to do a brief summary of what went down yesterday regarding other channels, other discussions to do with Dylan Rounds. Bit of a hybrid video. We will focus on the supposed possible evidence found first and then transition from there on, okay? Then, I think it's important we acknowledge and check the last video or two of the comments, because quite a few people did engage this time round, because yeah, it was an important talking point. It was breaking news, guaranteed that no one else would or will cover it because they wouldn't know about it, right? And others are too busy caught up and entangled with one another elsewhere. I'm still locked on, regardless of what may be happening in the background, what's been talked about, regardless of how YouTube may be treating me, still locked on. What I do want to acknowledge though, before we move on to the comments, I would say that, first of all, around this period, as a heads up for this video and what's to come ahead in time, we are currently going through that phase of a short burst of possible information mixed with rumours and possible BS. We've gone through that stage once again, right? It's happened in the past, it's happening once again. So just be wary and cautious. Don't go too deep, don't go all in on certain points made by certain people. Listen, but think for yourself. Be realistic, be practical, and still think outside of the box when it comes to the Dylan Rounds case, okay? Then, the other observation I wanted to make, as for me, I actually feel like I have slowed down with the Dylan Rounds case, but the intensity is no longer there. Yet the videos are more harder hitting than ever before. Videos and material which has not been covered by a singular other person out there on YouTube. That the focus, though, is more locked on than ever, despite all the stuff going on in the background. Bit of a weird combination, but it's working at this moment in time, right? Let me know your thoughts in the chat to how you feel the atmosphere is within the Dylan Rounds case right now compared to how it was in the past. We can do a little poll right now. The little poll can be, is the Dylan Rounds community better now than how it was many months ago? Yes, improved. No, got worse. No change at all. Or maybe the other option, I don't know, right? So with that all being said, we look at the comment section of my last two videos, back-to-back ones which were uploaded yesterday, answer any key questions, see if there's any additional interesting information. Once we've got all that done, then we can move on to the main talking point of this video, all right? I will just arrange the comments to the newest, start from the bottom, work our way up. Glitter Galaxy, shocked face because of the news from last night. She might have another shocked face tonight too. Some of you will know who Glitter Galaxy is. From the looks of it, she has been missing in action recently because she has been very busy. So I just wanted to provide that context so people know where people are at times, because as we know, we have seen a drop-off of known individuals within this community. We've also got that individual saying, and they said that in the last video, they have an obsession with me. It is what it is. Pam says, interesting. Christy can't wait. Cat loves ASMR. Cat lovers. Kitty cat, I don't know. But saying they're doing things to all YouTubers right now and even me. Cat loves ASMR. Feel free to share your thoughts as to how YouTube has treated you. You can list it down below. As for people in the chat right now, let me know all your experiences, positive or maybe more so negative, with YouTube. How has YouTube treated you? List down below in the comment section or even in the live chat. Maybe it's best to leave comments down below about those stories so it doesn't clog up the live chat, because you know what happens when things get clogged up. Dale has a difficult time making sense of stuff. Then, that aside, we move on. Linda saying, I'm guessing name could start with D. Yeah, that's from yesterday's video, explains. John Carter, John Carter. Shout out to John Carter, appears to be a new viewer. One thing to acknowledge though, speaking of YouTube, from last night, couple of people had issues. Weezer, couple of nights before, got kicked off YouTube when watching my live premiere. And last night, Bob Farrell and Cleo, the Playful Witch, also known as Clee, were kicked off the live premiere. Was that because of me? No. You can't kick people out of live premieres. You can't. There's no kick button whatsoever. If it's a live premiere, anyone, everyone can watch it as much as they want, right? So it is YouTube playing up. Another thing to confirm once again, some people were saying Bob Farrell was blocked last night. That's incorrect. Bob Farrell, however you say his name, is not blocked on my channel, okay? His super chat showed. Shout out to Bob for that. I think as well, shout out to Cleo. As well, smile now, cry later, or whip now, jump for joy later, whichever username. As well as maybe the odd other individual. Apologies if I can't remember the name. But yeah, Bob Farrell got kicked off last night. Some people said he was blocked, but he wasn't, because people saw his comments, including Dale, right? If for whatever reason, only you yourself can't see someone's comment, it's probably because they have blocked you, not me. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. So Is there a solution to avoid being kicked off live premieres? Someone said switch the chat to live chat. Maybe that may help. And do you know when people say they've been kicked out of a live premiere, kicked out of the chat, what do they actually mean? Do they mean that the whole tab has closed down and then you had to click back on YouTube to load the video back up? Is that what people are saying? Or is it not as bad? Feel free to elaborate down below, right? Tom Evans, guessing to do, yeah. Will be interesting to hear, yeah. This gives me, right, okay. Jacqueline, sorry you are getting treated badly. It seems to be a trend lately. Not that is of any help to you. I've seen other platforms getting similar treatment. Nothing to do with crime cases. You put so much time into your videos and it's just not fair on you. Do you think you've been mass reported for whippings maybe, or the occasional profanity? Someone jealous trying to cause trouble for you, or maybe you are getting too close to the truth. Try not to worry too much. Shout out to Jacqueline there. So, no, can't be mass reporting, can't be reporting whatsoever. If you get reported, and like I got reported once in the past, I get an email from YouTube acknowledging the report under the certain report itself. The last time I got reported was possibly, not for certain, but a coincidence, possibly by Brookie. Yeah, remember Brookie? I did a video or two on her, basically revealing the BS, making sense of stuff, whilst also acknowledging Jim Terry, because at the time Jim Terry got his pants in a twist when he assumed that I didn't, acknowledge him for his research at the time. I did. He responded and apologized and almost got on his knees. Well, I think he did, but that's not the point, right? It was just a coincidence to do with Brookie at the time because of the videos and the topics it was talking about. And then I received a report from someone saying this video about Brookie has been reported for a privacy complaint. I guess to do with information talked about and shown public, which was private information, okay, along that line. And then what followed afterwards was a wave of another few videos to do with Brookie being reported as well for privacy complaint. Now, just to point out once again, all the information talked about at the time to do with Brookie, their real name, all of public information, a public news article, all public, nothing private, okay? Simple as that. Now, what was the outcome with all that stuff at the time? Well, I turned my head round and thought, oh well, let's move on. That was it. 0 Fs given. What did YouTube do? Well, I guess they looked at it as something and they thought, oh well, let's move on as well. All those reports at the time towards me were dropped, cleared, nothing happened. Has anything else happened since? No. As of recent time with this YouTube mess, that is YouTube themselves. YouTube's automated system all at fault, and some dodgy human reviewers out there as well who are either a little bit too sensitive or can't really think properly with critical thinking skills. Kind of problematic that, right? But that's in its own league, completely different, away from the general public, causing me trouble. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? We'll see what happens next. Of course, if there is updates, I will provide updates with it. Badger Life, for your information, link. I don't know what that link is, to be honest. Badger says, shout out to Tom Evans for telling Jim Terry that Warlight Wrath has the best Dylan Rounds information. So shout out to Badger for the comment. Shout out to Tom Evans for whatever he has done. I guess that's good of him. In my opinion, is my channel the best out there for Dylan Rounds information? I don't know, personally. If I was to say yes, then that would make me a narcissist. What I would say is It's a channel which can, I guess, complement other channels and vice versa. So like with Ty Corbyn's channel and videos out there, although brief and maybe not many on his channel, some of them are quite important and provide a visual perspective of the area, right? That complements my videos because he has allowed me to use some of his footage at times when talking about the case and updates, such as like in today's video, right? But as well, my channel, my coverage and style will complement Ty Corbyn's channel and his knowledge of the area, like with the map analysis of Lucin, key places of interest, high probability places to look for Dylan rounds, which Ty Corbyn mentioned at the time, right? So, yes, independently, all these different channels covering the Dylan rounds case do it their own way, their own style, and it can work. But when they can be combined in some way, they become better, right? The only thing I will say is, though, as in recent time, I technically have been the only channel to be covering Dylan Rounds stuff, providing valid information, arguably more important information more than ever, and that is a year on. Normally, as time goes on, the talking points, the energy levels, the evidence ends up, dropping off because you can't keep going all that time. It's kind of like with professional athletes doing certain sports. As time goes on, they start slipping away, slowing down, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. Okay, it might not be the best example, but you get the idea of time as it goes on. And like with the Dylan Rounds case, as time has gone on, maybe to some people it has started slipping away. But because of my coverage, I think I've been able to claw it back, claw that focus back and the importance on the case, right? Obviously, Ty Corbyn did move away slightly to do with Aidan Clune, Lance Kelly doing his own thing. But once again, Ty Corbyn coming on back with these recent videos of Lucin, searching out there, which is obviously helpful, provides a perspective of the area. But yeah, this comment here, Tom Evans telling Jim Terry about Warlike Rafa's best information on Dylan, I guess that might have been done because of responding back to resistance, possibly. I don't know ultimately what's going on here with Jim Terry or last night, but maybe as we do go through the comments and other stuff later on in this video, we might be able to make more sense of it, okay? We're just making sure we keep an even pace and tone to this video, right? So we don't go off the deep end and we don't end up going downhill. So, Steve Colbert. Steve Colbert is a long-time viewer from back in the Kenny Veach days, years ago, okay? He's still around. Steve says, I have been removed by Instagram from its platform twice and could not track down comments that I made which offended others. Even whoever that is has twice been banned from Instagram for reasons he could not discover. YouTube could easily ban you, and would you go where? Where would you go? Well, this is the thing, it's all down to language and behaviour. But I will acknowledge one thing, right? Whether it be YouTube, Instagram or TikTok, the platforms do favour a certain gender. Certain genders can behave in certain ways or appear in certain ways and not get punished, or not get punished as much. Maybe there's a bit of leniency compared to if the opposite gender was to do something similar, right? That's all I'm saying. Why is it that way? I don't know. It's messy. It's a messy situation. It should be, if one person gets punished, then that person should get punished too. If there's leniency there should be leniency here. If there's, there should be a bit of common sense and reasoning too. But the way YouTube is at times does lack. That's all I'll say. So that's it for the comments section here. Let's look at the comment section of the breaking news video I did yesterday. So we transitioned onto the next comment section of the latest video. I said, be sure to check the links down below for the latest breaking news on the Dylan Rounds case besides this one. So we start from the bottom, work our way up once again. Okay, we could do some shout outs too along the way. Linda Cushing saying, my gut tells me he knows something, or he helped Brenner take Dylan somewhere. Linda is referring to Don Haley, as that's the theme, the talking point of yesterday's video. Nancy saying, or helped after, like help clean the truck. Cleo, perhaps. Shout out to Nancy Milwaski, new viewer from the looks of it. We have seen a wave of new viewers recently. That's all good. You know, for some people it might be disruptive, but it's good if you get new people coming on in, especially into this case. Fresh eyes, a fresh look on things, and see what they know, because at a certain point, the right people might come in with the right knowledge, right timing, maybe the correct resources. Of course, time will tell. So what do I think about Don Haley? Do I think Don Haley assisted Brenner in the murder of Dylan, or maybe assisted Brenner in the disposing of Dylan, or maybe assisted in cleaning up the after mess, the evidence? Makes you think, right? Depends how good Don is when it comes to cleaning stuff down. We heard about the gun and key fob in the past. There was no evidence on that because they were cleaned down. Maybe some other items in between, but it depends, right? We'll do another poll right now just to make better sense of things, see where people are at the moment in this case. The poll can be, based on the conditions Don Haley played a part in the Dylan Rounds case, do you think Don Haley helped Brenner with the murder of Dylan? That can be one option. Or do you think Don Haley assisted in disposing of Dylan? Second option. The third option can be, do you think Don played a role in cleaning up the mess afterwards? Evidence, Dylan's truck, bits and bobs like that. The other option could be other reasons, but you'd have to list them down below. Okay, make sure to vote right now so we get an idea of where things are at. I do feel the polls are good, right? Maybe not everyone wants to or can't express themselves either verbally or text-based. So if you can just click a simple button of a voting poll, that's easier. And then we get an idea of where the majority of people are at within the case, their thoughts. Let's move on. Quintessential Organics says, Justin Rounds knows a lot more about Don Haley than we do, and I'm sure Don helped Brenner. If Candice Cooley didn't see their Sunday pings, then I'd be interested to know if they went fishing in the wash together that Sunday. Okay. So we said something about possibility of maybe doing a map analysis of this fishing expedition trip out there. I have seen and heard talks here and there about Don and Brenner being together at times, which was the very first one. I mean, more so a rumour, okay? I don't know if it's been reinforced or debunked ever since, but one of the rumours was on the 29th of May 2022, Brenner and Don were down in Montello at a bar, and if not there, at another bar somewhere else. The day before that, the murder of Dylan, 28th of May 2022, Don and Jim were supposed to be hanging out together later on in the day, like afternoon time, and that was to do with a barbecue at Don's. Brenner came along, invited, and hung out together. Fast forward a bit later, onwards, in June, at some point, Candice Cooley said after the spring cleaning, June the 2nd, one of the days, Brenner with trash bags in his truck. Don Haley tagged along, and both Don and Brenner went down to Wendover. Why? I don't know. Did the police track them, follow him down? No. Did they dispose of the evidence, possible evidence, bags from the grain shed? Probably, yeah. But where? Not quite sure. In Wendover or on the way? Still in question, right? And now we've got this about this fishing trip occurring at a certain point. It does make you think that throughout time, Don and Brenner have kind of hung out, stuck together over the course of time. Now, yeah, they are friends, they get on well, so they will hang out like how normal people do. But it's just interesting how at a time like this, the event that's happened, what's happened to Dylan, and Brenner and Don have kind of been stuck together over time. It makes you think, is there more going on behind the scene? Maybe at the time, more so speaking. You get what I'm saying? It's like partners in crime. At least talking in terms of their past criminal history. They've both gotten in trouble separately. Is that why they became friends? Because they relate from past crimes committed? Not fully sure there. But they get on well, and it's just coincidental how when Brenner's name is mentioned here, Don's name is mentioned too throughout the case of Dylan Rounds. So just let me know your thoughts about that, right? Maybe it might help you reconsider when voting on the current poll right now. What did I say? You think a map analysis is needed? Most people saying yep. Agree, yep. Give like wouldn't be right without map time, please. Okay, sometimes I can't understand Cleo when she types, but I think that means yes. Now, quintessential. About the wash. So supposedly Don Brenner at a wash. Sunday pings, fishing. Are we talking about the wash, quintessential? Let me know in the chat right now. Say yes or no, something like that. Is it the wash, which we've looked at recently? The one you told me to measure the distance of? Let me know your thoughts, okay? If it is, maybe it could tie more in with the case of Dylan. I mean, as for the phone pings of Brenner and Don, at least from my knowledge, they have never been publicly revealed, which is interesting. As well, Candice Cooley has never really mentioned them either. The only point Candice Cooley made in the early days, which she never updated or added to, was saying that the police were too slow to get a hold of Brenner's phone and the data only lasted 7 days long, and after that it was erased automatically, so they wouldn't have found anything. That's what Candice Cooley said, but, you know, like with that deep forensic dive later on in the case, Candice Cooley was unaware of what the police authority could get a hold of. So it surprised Candice Cooley too. The same could apply with Brenner's phone data and Don's. Worth acknowledging, right? Will we get the true pings? I don't know if we will. This late on. If they do exist, they must be quite important for them not to be publicly released compared to all the other phone pings and information talked about and evidence, right? But yeah, quintessential organics, whether it be in the comment section down below or elsewhere, feel free to type in the names of locations regarding this supposed fishing trip and the date once again, just so it's structured correctly. And then at some point, maybe I can put a marker here and there on the maps and talk things through, either recreating the story or giving the possibilities as to what could have happened on the day or around the day, right? So just maybe do it down below in the comment section, quintessential. Do it down below in the comment section. It'll be easier. When it comes to the live chat, especially if a lot of people are talking, some messages can be missed and, gets a little bit hectic. But yeah, we've got that under control for now. Tom Evans saying, I have to honour Justin Rounds for his tenacity. He seems to have more guts than most men. Christy agrees. Pam, I don't think there was a fishing trip, in my opinion. I think it might have been raised. Was it you, Quintessential, or somebody else that talked about possible fishing trip on the last No Thanks Doug interview with Candice Cooley? Because when they were doing that live and people reached out and asked questions, I'm sure fishing was brought up and Candice Cooley Doug said, what are you talking about? Something like that. What's this? Guess we'll look at it someday, possibly. Yeah, we'll see about that, the fishing thing. Bob Farrell, I am out of chat again, god damn it. Badger, Bob closed out the comments and switched to live comments. Did it work? I don't know, but my comment got liked, so maybe it did work. Badger Life has a new profile picture. Appears to be, is that a pumpkin head with enlarged chest with a seatbelt going over? Is that Dale's wife? What's Dale's wife doing in your profile picture, Badger? Dale, did you know about this? Looks like she's driving away. Best stop her before she goes off. She might have stolen some of your clothes. I mean, hers. Got them back from you. Anyway. Right, so we've got a plane flying over right now. It's not going to crash into the house. Not yet. Beth Hammond saying, I agree with Justin Rounds. More people involved than just Brenner. So the talk is still going on about that. Nothing is nothing. I'm beginning to agree with this more and more. So welcome, Nothing is Nothing, new viewer to the channel. Missy Marie, long-time viewer. Great job keeping up Dylan's case. That young man was such a rarity and his murder is just disgusting. I hope gets what's coming to him in prison. People are clueless as to what he did on his own property. That's all jealousy speaking. He was only, 19 and doing his best farming his own little slice of his dream. Nobody knows what his legit work ethics were, nor is it anyone's business. I don't know, Dylan had some type of double life or alt personality. Again, I truly believe he was just doing his best to farm his little piece of land, mind his own business. Thank you again for keeping up on his case. You're welcome. I mean, like with that footage by Jim Terry to do with Dylan getting in trouble with the police, maybe it reveals a different side of Dylan. Maybe it raises the possibilities of, did Dylan Rounds ever get in trouble other times? Or is that the only occurrence? You get what I'm saying? Skeptical, saying, I remember Justin Rounds' dead man walking quote post from before. Didn't have much of an impact. The response, though, finally some true emotion for your son, Dylan. Don't get me wrong, I'm aware Justin Rounds' feelings are none of my business, but if a complete stranger can feel the exact same anger, it's about time. Okay, fair enough. Arada Imagery, don't know who this person is, new viewer from the looks of it, saying, I told you yesterday that Brenner took something from that shed right under Ellie's nose. The two men were together several times after Dylan Rounds went missing. I believe they know about what happened and Justin knows this. Yep. I said earlier on the way I've worded it too, just Brenner and Don at times hanging out. Documented it over time. Yep, June 2nd, spring cleaning. I know you are aware of it, but you commented on it recently and suggested that cleaning could have just been part of Brenner's daily routine, which I found completely hysterical. The dude probably never cleans his own underpants. So, Arada Imagery appears to be a new viewer because they fail to understand that I did do past videos from different points of views, including a few of my original thoughts back then about it being very suspicious, and also quoting and highlighting Candice Cooley when she herself said this spring cleaning was a load of rubbish, no pun intended, because no rubbish was actually taken out. There was still cans crushed on the floor, okay? Arada. I did look inside of the grain shed. I did an analysis. I've done extensive coverage of the Dylan Rounds case, over 300 videos within under just a year and 1 month late to the case. Several analyses of outside of the grain shed and inside, to the point where Grainy, Graham and Dale are begging to go back to the place because we've looked at it so much. Okay, so hopefully that provides a bit of perspective. It's probably advised Arada that you look back at my past videos as well. The playlist will be available on my channel, so you can catch up with all the talk which we've already done, okay? But as well, the 3 people that liked Arada imagery, they too also need to look at my past playlist, because this is the thing. New viewers do come along and their first impression is of whatever video I'm covering and talking about right now. So if I don't mention everything out of the whole year of covering the case, people assume that I don't know this, I don't know that, and I've not covered that in the past. But technically, it's not my problem. What humans need to do when they come on in, listen, or to whatever they want to listen to, right? But before going off on one, to acknowledge and maybe look back at past videos as well, which I've covered, okay? It's all under control. Arada saying, I don't watch all of it. Sorry. That's okay. But hopefully you get the understanding and idea that not everything can be talked about in a singular video. That's why, we've gone at a certain pace over time to understand what is what. And I provide many different points of views. Not my opinion, always, but what other people would be thinking and saying, right? I think with time, some humans out there have got confused by that. Some people have thought that the different points of views are basically my opinion, but it's not. I'm just basically saying what other people are saying, how they think, right? You'll know when it's my opinion because I will say, in my opinion, right? Nancy pops back up saying the horse statues might be the same and they might have been cast from the same mould, or moulds might be more than one piece joined together. Okay, not directly to do with Dylan this, but it was just referring to the horse statue in Casper, Wyoming. Okay. Arada, are you following the case where the couple in the black Jeep went missing near Arizona? Anything new with that? I've no clue about that. I've not looked at that. Okay. I think I probably looked at one case to do with the Arizona desert where some guy was found in a wash close to the city. He was 6'3", over 200 plus pounds, 230 pounds, I think. Some people got a bit snappy at the time, saying it was clickbait, saying that's not anything to do with Dylan Rounds. How could you say this? How could you do that? People getting the pants in a twist at the time. But the reality was, it was simply looking at a singular case and then comparing it to the Dylan Rounds case as for possibilities of being found in a wash, being washed up from a wash, like that case in Arizona. But once again, humans failed to understand that back then. But this case you're talking about, Arada, which I assume is a different one, I don't know anything about. Maybe the Shack Lady has covered it. I've seen on her post at times talking about the Arizona desert missing people. Maybe there is a link. Maybe in time, if there is time, I'll look at Arizona missing people, okay? Tom Evans, I'm going to rewatch this again. There are some very important parts here. That's true. Andrew Culver as well. Beatrice, yes, I think Don is a missing link to this mystery concerning Dylan. Candice Cooley, for the most part of it, seems to be quite firm that Don didn't play a part. But you could put the argument across. The more times Candice Cooley gets things wrong and more inaccuracies are made, maybe the next time she says this, she means the opposite, or you end up interpreting it as the opposite because, it is a lack of accuracy. Is there a lack of trust? Maybe at times. Jacqueline, sorry, I haven't finished watching last night's video, but I'll catch up early in the morning. Life gets in the way. Though Jacqueline, despite being busy, has been quite active though. So yeah. Pam, saying thank you, Warlike Raf. When I was doing my research on Don Hately, found out that he had family in Casper, Wyoming. been saying this for a while now, like a couple of months back. Teutonia ID is about 150 to 200 miles apart. EH, are you talking about Ed Harshberger? Lives in Teutonia, Idaho, just over a couple of hills from each other. That is where I think Don Hately ran, was to his hometown with his family. Have a good rest of your night, weekend. Happy dreams. Okay. I mean, if it's a certain direction, north, northeast, over that way, should be saying. Yeah. I mean, when people do follow in the same direction, you think, is there a link? Kind of like with YouTube. YouTubers, some of them move around in circles, spheres, bubbles, move from one case to another. Reason for it, maybe it applies directly in the Dylan Rounds case. Okay, we'll just screenshot that very quickly. There we go. And just as a small little pointer, it occurred on the same day as last night's video. The precise location, the location of Don Hately has been retrieved, found there. Unlike other YouTubers that act out in a spasmodic way and throw this out left, right and centre, first of all, see if it's appropriate to look into or not and go from there, okay? Just wanted to acknowledge that with you as to where things are at. Yeah, efficiency can take place, right? Was there anything else that needs to be added? Not really. Just for Mom says, Justin's statement makes me believe they aren't having positive results locating Dylan's body. This was a key point made by Just for Mom, and I even raised it myself in the last video. This can be like one argument on one side of the table. The other argument on the other side of the table can be talked about today as well, to do with Ty Corbyn and all of that breaking news, but we'll get into that later. To raise the point here, you know, I can understand what Just for Mom is talking about. You know, both Justin and Candice Cooley have turned down Brenner's offer to reveal location of Dylan's remains. They turned it down because the family want to find Dylan themselves. They feel confident. Though, as time goes on and on, maybe the confidence slips away. Maybe a form of desperation and frustration kicks in. Now, as we've seen, Candice Cooley seems to be able to hold it together better, right? Justin Rounds appears to be more emotional, which is a positive. It shows that he cares. It shows that he's determined and, you know, it means a lot to him, of course. I'm sure it applies to Candice Cooley too, but to some people it's harder to read because, as I said, Candice Cooley doesn't always show emotion holding it together. But with Justin, you could show emotion of sadness, the feeling of being lost, not knowing what direction to go in. I think Ty Corbyn highlighted that in the past when hearing about Justin and how he was. Weezer, Montello Local, also raised the same observation in the early days, saying how Justin was sad and appeared to be lost, directionless, right? Not knowing what to do, where to go. Are we encountering that once again in most recent time with Justin? That because the case isn't really going anywhere, up to now at least, before Ty Corbyn did the video, is there a possibility that it's like desperate measures? We're not getting anywhere, no new leads. What do I do? Let's go after Don Hately. He's ran away, he's gone elsewhere. Let's track him down. Maybe I can reach out to him physically, or maybe try and make him confess in a certain way and get answers. And that the motive of getting answers out of Don, because Don is a friend of Brenner, maybe Don knows more than what he's letting off, as well as the feeling right now that not much progression has been made, so someone has to do something. Desperate times, desperate measures. Do you think that's what encouraged Justin to do that Facebook post? All I would say is, though, what's the point doing these Facebook posts online? Like, does Don Hately have a Facebook account? He must do, because, you saw Don Haley's name tagged in the post of Justin's. Are they friends? Like, have they added each other as friends? I don't know. But must have had the account somewhere to be able to refer back to it. Okay. I think Don Haley does have a default profile picture not showing his face. I also think that someone, can't remember who it was now, but a viewer said that they went on Don Haley's profile and saw that Don was friends with another individual. And someone else mentioned that Don Haley has privatized his account ever since. So general public can't go on to it unless you are a friend, follower of him. Interesting, right? Shutting out contact from general public, maybe to avoid being questioned and other things in between. If anyone wants to clear it up or add to what I just said there, feel free to do so down below. But I did hear about those bits and bobs in the past. Now, if you think about it, if Justin is going after Don Haley, why is Justin publicly warning Don Haley online? You get what I'm saying? If Don Haley is on Facebook, isn't it just going to like scare Don off? You know, if you want it to be most effective, you got to strike, you got to make your presence unknown, right? You come in out of nowhere, you appear at the place, at the house or trailer, out of nowhere, unexpected. So there's a level of shock, surprise, not expecting it. If Don Haley is expecting something from Justin, maybe Don Haley might be better prepared defensively. Maybe Don's family might be covering, helping him at the time. So if Justin goes down by himself, it could be like a 4-on-1 situation. It could get messy, right? And if not that, just simply if Don knows that Justin is on to him and it's public and he sees it, don't you think that maybe Don might end up changing plans or running away elsewhere? Sometimes you shouldn't always be talking about things publicly, especially towards those people you're going after, because it just allows them opportunity and time to prepare or to escape again. You get what I'm saying? Let me know your thoughts down below, because it was a public post. Yes, it was deleted, but it was still public, and it looked like that Don Haley was tagged in that post. So even when a post is deleted, you get the notification for it and what was actually said. You get what I'm saying? Let's do another poll right now. I think the initial poll can be, do you think there's a possibility that there's no positive result in the Dylan Rounds case at this moment in time, and that's what led to desperate measures by Justin calling out Don? You think that's the case? Yes? No? Little bit different to the polls last night, but no harm in asking. Make sure to vote right now and try and keep up. Andrew Colver says, bro, not sure if you know about the truth about the horse. It got put down cause of cancer. So Brenna's horse, called Briscoe, was put down because it had cancer. Can't remember exactly where in the body, but yes, I was aware of that. Though, in the stages, no pun intended there, but during the stages, it was very back and forth, okay? Oh, the horse is alive. No, the horse isn't. Yes, it is. No, it isn't. Oh, it was handed over to this person. No, it wasn't. It was sent over there. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. It got very messy. But short story is, Brenna's horse supposedly passed on to Kurt Taylina, took care of it up to a certain point, sent elsewhere, I think maybe in Idaho, got put down because it had a disease, right? Put it out of its misery so it didn't suffer anymore. My ultimate question is that, do you think that Brenna knows about his horse passing away? Has anyone told him? Has Kurt Wadsworth ever called in to tell Brenna what's happened? Make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments right now. Does Brenna know what's happened to his horse? Yes? No? Because I would say it's important, right? If Brenna cares about his horse, he finds out that it's no longer here, it might destroy him inside, right? You remember when I was looking at motives of Brenner, why he did what he did to Dylan, and one of it could have been protecting his own horse. So like if the gate was damaged, or whichever one was damaged, it could lead to the horse being hurt or getting out and escaping. Brenner seemed very defensive around that topic. So if Dylan broke something on the day, like a gate, the 28th of May 2022, possibility that Brenner snapped because of that. So if the horse means a lot to him and he's very defensive over it, like a girlfriend at a point in time, Becky, makes you think, right? Possibilities that if Brenner found out about his horse passing away, it might hurt him inside, make him emotional. And the only reason why I say that and why it's a problem is because the more emotional Brenner is, or the more hurt he feels within, although some of you could say, well, that's good, he deserves it, it might lead to him having a heart attack. I don't know, based off his age and health. If there's certain stress factors or an event which causes him to get stressed, feel sad, it might get too much. He might have a heart attack. And if he does and passes away, then bye-bye, there goes the key to finding Dylan Round's remains. You get what I'm saying? It's a balancing act. You might not like the individual, but you've got to try and keep them alive and keep them healthy for the opportunity to be able to get information from them, which is Brenner. Though understandably, Candice, Justin have almost like waved goodbye to that with them rejecting it. Could all link back to why Justin has called out Don Hately recently, because he needs answers and they're not getting any at this moment in time. It's like a full circle, that conversation we just had there. Jacqueline saying, Candice Cooley has almost always kept Justin restricted in their interviews. Poor man was never given much chance to have his say. 1 year on, he'd had to keep quiet and it's been too much for him to take. It caused this outburst. I don't blame him for this. He must have heard something. So yeah, it could be like 3 different factors. 1, just an outburst. It's built over time like a volcano erupting. Justin held back, restrained in the past because Candice Cooley was doing all the talking, and it built up inside and it had to be released at some point, right? Not the first time. We saw it in the past too. Second factor, the feeling that there is something going on in the background. Some evidence, new lead, which points towards Don, which then triggered Justin to then call out Don, right? More about that later in this video, as I said about that other argument on the other side of the table. And then the third factor could just simply be because they're not getting anywhere, so desperate measures, desperate actions. These are different possibilities. Cleo with a super chat saying, thanks, keep going, godlike. Shout out to Cleo and for remembering that reference too. Very good of her, of course. Cleo, the playful witch. We got Smile Now Cry Later, so that's the correct username, with another super chat. Very good of them too, appreciate it. Shout out to 2 individuals here in the chat, if they are present. Saying, Rafi, sorry I missed your live, but this is very interesting and thanks for sharing this. You're welcome. Hopefully you find tonight's video too just as interesting. Kind of like back-to-back breaking news, I would say. Robert Berger saying, I heard Wilson Lake Reservoir was a Don Hately favourite fishing spot. It is less than a mile from Hazleton. I believe Hazleton is in Idaho. Right, okay. So quintessential. If you're present, let me know your thoughts on this comment by Robert. Do you agree with it, yes or no? As said, we can incorporate different locations of potential fishing spots, okay? I nearly said fisting spots then. Pardon me. Jacqueline, you could be right. He may have just heard of Hately's location, so it suddenly led to a surge in, right, I'm on a mission now. That's another possibility. And as well, just because Justin deleted his post, don't mean to say he's going to calm down now and go back to whatever he was doing. He might have just got rid of the post because he didn't think it was practical, but he might still follow through with whatever he said he was going to do, right? Jacqueline, Wyoming is/was cowboy country to us here in UK, right? Candice Mullins saying, Justin, we support you. Jacqueline, I think Haitley will be on the outskirts. Maybe not exactly from what I've seen. Tom Evans, if Justin is in Lucin, maybe Bibbins saw him and said something to get Justin going. Maybe. Heard that Bibbins lives in the area. Quick question, Tom. If that was the case, what do you mean by to get Justin going? Do you mean Bibbins wanted Justin to leave the area, so gave him a good reason to leave and go elsewhere because Bibbins doesn't want Justin around because Bibbins is involved in the case? Is that what you mean, Tom? Or do you mean that Bibbins wants to help Justin, so that's why he passed on possible tips, information? Let me know. Jacqueline liked and shared. That's good of you to do that. As well, as we do go on, if you want to share awareness of the Dylan Rounds case, you want to share awareness of this video and the important nature of it, as well as credit to Ty Corbin for his recent video to do with the evidence found, possible evidence found, feel free to like this video and share it to maybe people you know of. Maybe those people out there may not know about this, so if they hear about it, it might help them better understand the case. Tom Evans says, as far as Dylan being a golden boy, I think that was all done by Candice Cooley. Justin more or less talked about him like he was a normal kid. A lot of people have said he worked hard and was a nice, quiet guy. Jim Terry seems to have changed his attitude towards Dylan slightly. The video of Dylan so far has shown him to be respectful and almost withdrawn. It will be interesting to see the views of everyone when the video has finished. Okay, so I will acknowledge one thing. That footage by Jim Terry, although it has been displayed, I've only looked at a portion of it, just simply because I've been busy and I just don't find the footage that interesting. But I do also acknowledge that it's better than nothing, right? It's good to see footage of Dylan Rounds regardless, okay? But to monitor his body language and behaviour is a bit difficult because of the muffled audio. It's not the best quality. Visual quality as well, kind of lacking. Camera angle lacking. You can't see it like full on locked on Dylan Rounds as much as you would want to. But as said, just working with what one has, it's better than nothing. But one thing I will say, Tom, and this is very interesting, I only looked at the footage of Dylan for about 20 seconds, right? Yes, you could say I've got low retention span in that circumstance, but you know what the first thing that came to my mind was? Dylan sounded quiet and a little bit withdrawn. His body language seemed, I don't know, as if, I don't quite like this situation. Shouldn't have got into trouble. I'm not really used to this in a way. Let me know what you think, Tom, but I think kind of on the same wavelength, and I only looked at that for about 20 seconds. Though then again, with my experience over time, I did implement the 0.5 second rule when it comes to identifying a certain human at times or a certain product, video game, and I just lock onto it within 0.5 seconds. Now, if anyone wants to know more about that, go back on my channel video long time ago, type in something like Gears of War 5 review, and I went full on with that and only looked at 0.5 seconds of the trailer. In the comment section, people were agreeing with me and they had to watch it several times to understand the trailer, and it took me 0.5 seconds. But just goes to show that it can overlap and apply to real life settings, which people don't always acknowledge, but I will. Okay? So Tom, when you say Jim Terry seems to have changed his attitude towards Dylan slightly, what, for good or for worse? Does Jim Terry have a slightly more positive outlook on Dylan or a worse outlook? Let me know your thoughts, Tom, and anyone else in the chat. But yeah, the whole golden boy situation, I used that term recently, right? Candice Cooley has talked very positive about Dylan. Of course, it's a son. I guess she's proud of him and she wants to defend his name too and his legacy because Dylan is not around present to defend himself, so someone else does. So I understand that. You could say it's biasness, but at the end of the day, it is family. It is a normal thing to defend one of your own family members, even if they may have done something bad. In this case, they've not really done anything bad, but you get the idea of still standing up for a person who may not be present. Yeah, pretty simple that, to be honest. Was there anything else here to look at? No. I mean, yeah, I do agree with that. The way Justin, the father, talks about Dylan in a more normal way, more down to earth, maybe a little bit more simplistic, maybe not truly acknowledging certain achievements, but maybe it's just because it's more down to earth, people can listen to it better and understand, right? Yeah, makes you think. Look, this is the other thing, and I've seen it several times in the news in the UK. When a person has passed away, they could have been in a gang, that type of typical stuff in the UK, as you know what I'm talking about. Or it could be something else. It could be a hit and run. It could be crashing into a thing after robbing a bank, but the memorial and the interviews online are, oh, he was such a good boy, he was so nice, he was so innocent, he was such a loving, caring individual, besides what they actually did in that crime, which led up to their death. The initial part seems to be ignored, but the death part is acknowledged, and they're seen as a victim, but they're not, because they were tied within a case crime. Get what I'm saying? Now, in this case, Dylan is the victim of a crime, but just in terms of the concept of family members, or just some, may acknowledge someone and mention all the positives but none of the negatives. Do you need to acknowledge the negatives of Dylan Rounds in this case? You could say, no, it's unnecessary, it's not fair, it's disrespectful. Do anything? What I would say is, if you could look at the negative side, maybe how Dylan has appeared in the past, how he's behaved, if he's got in trouble, look at that, possibly to just get a better understanding, a fuller, more balanced look on Dylan Rounds. Because if there were any negatives anywhere, maybe you could question, did it play a role into Dylan's disappearance? Very small possibilities, but might as well be acknowledged, right? Just Jen saying, they must have came across evidence he could be involved. Possibility, I guess. Or an act of desperation because there's not enough evidence being found, one or the other. Mike McCormack, 386 is a type of truck. Yep. Apologies about long comment section, but I said it's important what's recently gone on, so that's why we need to look at it, acknowledge the comments. Indiana, Justin finding out that maybe some of your dead son's clothing has been found near Don Haley's place maybe has Justin's mind reeling all over again. What I did notice within Justin's family photos, how the youngest child of Justin and Candice looks very like Mike, Candice's newest husband. Right, okay. Husband is shady. Cleo, what do you mean by husband is shady? Do you mean the new husband of Candice Cooley, or do you mean ex-husband Justin? Right. So the bit here mentioned by Indiana, we'll get more into it shortly. This is to do with the main talking point of today and to do with what Ty Corbin has found recently. There's a possible link. All comes down to relative timing, and maybe we can get to the bottom of, but I will ask important questions later on in this video, okay? Yeah. Skeptical saying, that boat though, wasn't there a boat in one of the photos? Looked out of place, Grangeshed maybe. Correct. I don't know why you brought that point up. Maybe there's another reason, but yes, there is a boat near to the Grangeshed property. I don't know why it's there, but it is. And it's been there for some time. Do we know how long exactly? Something is telling me maybe as far back as 2019, okay? True crime, truth teller, unique. Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. Hey buddy, it's Freddie K. So Freddie K, the Freddy Krueger profile picture some of you would have seen recently, Basically, they've changed their username to True Crime Truth Teller. Okay, same person, just different username. Just acknowledge that so people aren't confused. So Freddie K says, just did a name change. Be careful, Warlike. You've got someone getting ready to come after you. Okay. I have no idea what that is about. If anyone wants to elaborate, if anyone knows about this, feel free to explain it down below. So supposedly someone out there is coming after me. Why? What, because I'm too consistent with Dylan Rounds? Because I'm getting too close to the truth? Did I trigger someone at a certain point? I've no clue. You know, for the first time in a long time, I've been completely oblivious as to what's going on in the background. Although the intensity has dropped on Dylan Rounds, and although I am distracted with all the BS with YouTube, seem to still be somehow more locked on and harder hitting with the Dylan Rounds coverage in recent time. So that does block out the noise in the background. Interesting. Well, we'll see what happens, of course, but yeah, so everyone watching right now and everyone in the background, as a heads up, supposedly a human or humans out there are out to get me. For what reason is unknown. Their methods, unknown. Maybe time will tell them. Cleo, watching now, godlike. Apologies for arriving a bit late. That's okay. Heard, Cleo, that you had issues being kicked off the YouTube chat. That's unfortunate. Hopefully it does improve for you with your viewing experience. Okay. Deb D, shout out to Deb D, reappearing from whenever she last appeared from. Deb saying, done lately is not forgotten about. Good way to go, Justin. Yeah, it's good when names like that, done, are brought back into discussion, especially by the people in the case, you know, whether it be the police or the family. Because a couple of names and a couple of characters we've heard of over time, it's kind of fallen flat, faded away, and maybe for good reason, but there's still that suspicion that maybe, just maybe, there was another, more so Don. Others think Kurt, maybe Kurt's time will come, being put back into the spotlight. I don't know if it's old or new, but I'm sure Salty Pancakes on his Rumble account uploaded a live stream interview with Pancakes himself and Kurt Wadsworth. If that really is the case, a new one, a little bit confused because I thought Salty Pancakes went on a spree calling out Kurt Wadsworth, calling him all kinds of stuff and accusing him of all things. Unless they've patched things back up and patted each other on the backside and are now friends once again, I don't know. I saw at one point Pancakes calling out a person called Steve Olsen. I have no clue who Steve Olsen is, though I'm sure Steve Olsen supported Pancake's channel and gave him a couple of super chats over a course of time. And that they, you know, acknowledged one another, and then suddenly Pancakes calls Steve Olsen out, accusing him of all kinds of stuff. Do you see a pattern forming? I know it was very random to throw in, but it just reminded me on the spot, okay? So if anyone is watching right now, or, I don't know, you come across Pancakes, just be cautious and be in a position where you can think for yourself. Of course you can support Pancakes and follow him, but just make sure you're able to think for yourself and you don't get into a sticky situation where you don't get stabbed in the back. Now, someone like Fast Eddie has said from his personal experience with Pancakes, Fast Eddie has never been screwed over, attacked or hurt by Pancakes, which is a positive thing, right? Though, no harm in being cautious. Obviously, different humans will have their own unique experiences from one another, some good, others bad. It is what it is, okay? You never know what happens next. Let's move on. Finally, Texas girl saying, is there any proof of that barbecue, I wonder? So I assume Texas Girl is not talking about the barbecue in Montello, Nevada, Memorial Day weekend, but the barbecue Don Hately had with Brenna. I mean, would you be able to go to Don Hately's trailer to see for like a fire pit if there was having a barbecue maybe? It could be too late by now. I don't know. Is there proof to prove it? I mean, there could well be proof to prove that Brenner was with Don Hately in the afternoon on the 28th, hanging out at Don's place because of the phone pings. But as for an actual physical barbecue taking place, the only way you would know with proof, evidence, if there was a photo, video taken by the pair having a barbecue, or if you went down to the trailer area and saw there was like remnants of like a burning pit or bits of bone if they've eaten drumsticks or chicken breast, I don't know, whatever food they have over there, right? That would be the telling sign. So it does appear that we have reached the end of the comment section. I think now it's time to move on to the main talking point of this video. So I appreciate everyone's patience for sticking by, understanding what was talked about at the start of this video, and now moving on to the main interesting, important breaking news part. If you have suddenly joined in, welcome. If you want to rewind, feel free to do so. But right now, what I want to share with you and spread awareness of is the recent finding of a baseball cap, a John Deere branded hat, found within Lucin, Utah, not too far away from the pond, not too far away from where Don Hately once lived, okay? What I will say is, no coordinates have been ever given to do with the precise location of Don Hately's. I'll just add that in. And when I have looked at possible locations, it's been very back and forth. Some have said, yes, that is the spot. Others said, no, it's not the spot. Kind of switches and changes. I just wanted to let you know about that. But Ty Corbin, let's acknowledge Ty Corbin. But in addition, acknowledge the other searchers as well who have been out there in recent time. I personally don't know the exact date as to when this happened. I think it happened either yesterday or the day before, okay? Roughly around that period. The video by Ty Corbin was uploaded, as I said, at the moment in time of recording this video earlier on, was about 3 hours ago. Will be longer now because time has passed on, but you get the idea. It doesn't directly mean to say that the video recorded was uploaded on the same day. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes people might go out there, hike, record, get back later on in the day, maybe upload, if not, upload the following day. Just to get an understanding of that. It was the same with the Kenny Veach case, M Cave hike, just so people understand, right? But the main point is, possible piece of evidence, a John Deere branded hat was found within Lucin, Utah most recently. Now, I think Ty Corbin reached out to Justin about it, or said he was going to in the process. All I want to say is, if Ty Corbin is in the process of contacting Justin Rounds about it, is it happening right now or so? The only reason why I asked that, because yesterday when I did the breaking news video, early hours of that morning yesterday, that's when Justin called out Don Hately. And Justin said, if I hear you have anything to do with Dylan's disappearance murder, I'm going to come after you. Right? Short story. You see where this is going? The argument on the other side of the table. Earlier on today, we were talking about maybe Desperate times, desperate measures, not getting anywhere with the case, so someone like Justin decided to call Don Hately out, like the last time in the past. The time in the past when Justin called out Don Hately, was there a true reason for it? We never got an ultimate definitive answer. Though this time round, it's very coincidental how Justin suddenly goes on a spree and calls out Don Hately to let him know exactly how he thinks and feels at this moment in time. And then a day later, or hours later, we find out that Ty Corbin has uploaded a video within Lucin saying how he's come across a hat. Credit to the other people, Kylie, however you say the name, with a H. She ended up finding it, contacting Ty Corbin about it. Ty Corbin came down to look, took a photo of it. They didn't move it because they didn't want to disrupt any evidence, okay? Ported it into police, sheriff, and I guess they got a hold of it and it's no longer in the area. So I'd say it's been followed and handled well, right? But with Ty saying he's going to reach out to Justin about it, has it already happened that? Did it happen earlier for then Justin to then make that post on Facebook saying, Don, if you have anything to do with this, I'm going to spill your guts? Because the way Ty Corbin worded it in his video, that the hat was near to Don Hately's place of living, former place of living. So if that wording was mentioned to Justin, then Justin might be thinking, well, possibly Dylan's hat found here near to Don Hately. Maybe that's where Dylan was taken, in that direction. Or maybe Don Hately took Dylan's hat or something, right? When key evidence is near to a place of living, you might assume that that person living there is involved because of the proximity to the crime scene or the evidence which was found nearby. That could be what Justin is thinking. So he ties one piece of evidence to a geographical location spot, which just so happens to be in proximity to Don's trailer. Tie it all together. Maybe there's a link. Damn it. Right, Don, I'm not happy now. You see the trigger, the catalyst leads to the trigger, leads to the response by Justin. So Ty Corbin, if you do need to clear anything up, any important information, feel free to do so down below if I have failed to be accurate. No harm in clearing it up. Just let me know, Ty Corbin. Yeah. Did you, Ty Corbin, contact Justin Rounds yesterday or the day before? Then it will help better understand as to why Justin called out Don Hately yesterday, early hours of the morning. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully. Then maybe we can tie one thing with the other and then it would provide a motive to why Justin called out Don the way he did. It makes sense. It is a coincidence, one thing leading to another. Though the way I heard about it, at least in the video format with the dates, saw Justin reaction first, the day later, today, Ty Corbin's video. But maybe Ty Corbin recorded it the day before or the day before that and uploaded it in today. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So, what I'm going to do now, just so you can see it from the point of view from Ty Corbin, and so you can also see it visually, I'm just going to show you a bit of the footage from Ty Corbin. Not of the hat. I don't know if the photos will ever be shown, ever. Ty Corbin said he did take photos though, which I guess is useful and interesting. But I just want to share with you Ty Corbin's own personal thoughts and describing how things played out, okay? I'm not going to play the whole lot. I'll probably cut it down a bit because if you want to see the full thing as well as the additional search videos of either Aidan Clune or Justin Rounds, you can go on Ty Corbin's channel. I will provide a link down below in the comment section of Ty Corbin's channel if you want to visit it, okay? So, let's play the footage right now of what's recently gone down possible breaking news, possible evidence found. And then maybe I can give you a deeper analysis and possible conclusion to my thoughts on the matter. Okay?
Hi, you guys. We kind of had a stroke of luck, I think, yesterday. That's the pond, and Brenner would have left the pond and gone to Hatley's. And we found a hat, a John Deere hat, yesterday. Kelly Two-Stroke found it, and we were on our way home, and Kelly's hat blew off. They were on there side by side, and it ended up going, she said, into the back of her side by side in a little compartment. And they were walking along the road looking for her hat and found a John Deere hat. And the John Deere hat she found was right across the street from Don Hatley's driveway, which is down there where my car is parked. We took pictures of it. I called the sheriff this morning because we came back and picked the hat up. And I was out here by 6:30 this morning. The sheriffs from Box Elder, and they were right out here and picked it up. I mean, it only took that guy about a half an hour to show up at the pond. I thought I saw Justin coming in the other day. I'm pretty sure it was him coming in as I was going out. I left because of the thunderstorms rolling in. So any of you that think he's not out looking for his son, think again. Very dedicated. The weekend before that, he was out at Cherry Creek looking for Aidan Clune.
So after watching that piece of footage from Ty Corbin's point of view, let me know your thoughts down below. Are you intrigued by this? Do you believe that the cap found belongs to Dylan Rounds? Let me know. So I only showed you a small portion of that footage because if you want the full piece, you can go onto Ty's channel yourself. I just kind of cut it down, trim it down so it was straight to the point and easy to follow, okay? We can do a bit of a small map analysis shortly so you can see it visually and get an understanding of the camera angle, where Ty Corbin was, which direction he was facing in, okay? And yeah, we can even do a poll right now to just kick things off. This recent finding, this cap, a John Deere one, do you think it's Dylan Rounds' cap? Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Make sure to vote right now. In my opinion, okay, and I don't know if I'm jumping in at the deep end too soon, but I do want to get my point across right now. In my opinion, with it being a John Deere hat, with it being in the area of Lucin and not too far from the pond where Dylan's phone was found, bit of a coincidence, right? And I'm sure we get a definitive answer down the line from the police. If they send it into the labs, test it for DNA, we might come to a definitive answer and it can be cleared up, either debunked or reinforced. But at this moment in time, due to the location of it, there's a fair chance, right? As for the description of the hat, okay, it's a John Deere branded one. I understand people over time have said it's a popular brand and a lot of farmers out there and elsewhere will wear that type of clothing. So it could have been a passerby, it could be another farmer, it could be a hiker, someone else driving by and the hat flew off. Maybe they lost it the same way Kaylee did when she was looking for her hat and just so happened to come across a different hat at the time. You get what I'm saying? That's always a possibility. But because of the location, as said, and as well near Don Hatley's, it does make you think. And it is John Deere branded. So that's like the brand Dylan Rounds has. Dylan Rounds has a John Deere hat. So it does make you think. I don't know how many hats, caps Dylan has had over time. Whether it be the same amount as the boots he's had with time, or it's longer lasting. Maybe the hats don't wear away as fast as the boots do, for obvious reasons. Do we have any photos of Dylan Rounds with his hat? Yeah, maybe we can get one or two up shortly. But yeah, it is interesting this, the timing. And speaking of timing, the way it was worded, this video recorded and the way it was talked about. So yesterday it all went down. When Ty Corbin later on said the other day, Does he mean yesterday, or speaking as yesterday, the day after, the day before that, when Justin came down? I'm not quite sure exactly how it's meant in terms of the language there. But at least upon finding the hat, which could be of Dylan's, possibly, that was yesterday. And then it was today, early hours of the morning, when Ty went down there. The sheriffs came down, they got a hold of the cap. That's good, it's been taken away. I did wake up later today, so when I saw the video was uploaded a few hours later. A few hours earlier, Ty Corbin was out there. As he said, he got up early to get on with things. Okay, that's interesting. So we get a better idea now of how things unfolded. Now, linking back to Justin's outburst towards Don Hately. So I did the video yesterday. I saw the screenshot yesterday in the morning time, and the actual post by Justin would have occurred very early hours morning of yesterday, going into the night before, around that time. Take in mind US time zone difference. So I think that Justin's outburst towards Don Hately was before the hat was found. That's what I would say. If that really is the case, then it's very interesting how Justin called Don out before this hat was found near to Don's, right? As well, in that video footage of Ty Corbin's, saying the other day saw Justin rounds within the area. Interesting. And to be honest, one thing to acknowledge, Ty Corbin also said that early hours of today, a sheriff came down near to the pond. That's the exact wording by Janice, who said on the 21st of May 2023, a sheriff came down to Lucin Pond. Last Sunday? No, not last Sunday. Not last Sunday. The Sunday before that, 21st of May, a sheriff was at Lucin Pond. An hour later, Candice Cooley, maybe Justin, and a third individual were around that area walking about. Now, my question is, that happened back then, 21st of May. Today is the 30th of May. Yesterday was the 29th of May. So between the 29th and the 30th of May 2023, the John Deere baseball cap was found. And today, sheriff came down to collect it. All near to Lucin Pond. So isn't that a bit weird how the family were out there not that long ago, and the sheriff was as well, and they had no idea about this baseball cap near the area? Makes you think, doesn't it? Now, we do need to acknowledge there could well be people out there, others with their point of view, saying that, was this hat planted in that spot? I mean, there have been accusations in the past. All I would say is, I guess time will tell when the lab report comes back. That's if it's talked about openly and publicly, right? Because we never heard back from Lance Kelly to do with the bra shed and reporting that into the police, or that other bone found, which was linked to possibly be a human vertebrae, which didn't hear back from. So hopefully we do get an answer this time, whether it's conclusive or not, dead end, debunked or reinforced, right? It'll help. What I will say is, though, where it was found, not far off from a dirt road, in open sight, to be able to see it. If you weren't intentionally looking for it, you may not come across it, but because Kaylee was looking for her hat at the time and just so happened to come across another hat, it seems likely that in that circumstance you would find that hat because you're looking for your own. You know what a hat looks like. So if you see one, you may think, oh, that's mine, and then realize, oh, it's somebody else's, right? If you were just randomly out there, not specifically looking for a hat, you wouldn't anticipate or expect it. So you wouldn't be directly focusing and thinking and looking, must find a hat. At the time, your mind would be, let's look for anything of interest. Okay? Sometimes if you're a bit more locked on and focused, possibly more likely to find what you're looking for or something very similar to. And that's what happened recently, okay? But I do find it weird. After 1 year of the Dylan Rounds case, only now Dylan Rounds' possible hat was found. Why now? Why out in the open, in open sight? Why has it taken 1 year to just suddenly come across it right now? I'm basing it off the condition if it does turn out to be Dylan Rounds' hat, okay? On those conditions, why did it take that long to come across it if it's in the open? You think over time, the police, search and rescue, helicopters, flybys, passing on over, the 500 plus people supposedly hand in hand in the early days, Candice Cooley, Texas Equisearch, the drones, the K9 unit, sniffer dogs. Why did no one, why didn't any of those resources come across this measly hat in the open near to a dirt road? Why has it taken this long? You get what I'm saying? Is there that possibility that no one ever found it because it was never there at the time? Candice Cooley did raise that point in the past in an interview saying, oh yeah, you suddenly start hearing all this talk about new evidence being found, new items appearing, and that's only because they were never there to begin with. They've only just recently appeared because they've been planted. That was what Candice Cooley said. Is this another occurrence? I don't know. I feel it's coincidental how it can be applied to Dylan because of the hat, the type of clothing, the brand, the theme, the area, the proximity, coincidence of recent events. But in terms of the timing, the fact that it's in the open and it's lasted, I guess, in that area for over 1 year, it's a bit strange. Is there a possibility that a human dumped it there over time when disposing of Dylan? I don't think so. It seems like Dylan was, the desecration took place a year ago, right? And not much more has been done ever since. Is there a possibility that that hat has just suddenly appeared there because wildlife, an animal, ended up going wherever Dylan Rounds is buried at, digged away, grabbed the cap of Dylan's and ran off with it and then dropped it nearby to that road? Is that a possibility? But wouldn't wildlife be more focused on taking a bone or two rather than some clothing? You know what I'm saying? Is there a possibility that a bird may have picked up the cap, the hat, and flew away and then dropped it in that area? I don't know. Would they normally steal clothing like that? What about the weight of it? I just don't think it would be practical if it was a bird responsible. If the cap, the hat, was partially buried in the ground or hidden under a rock, you could suggest that's why no one has found it after all this time. but for it to be in open sight, it is kind of questionable. You got to take in mind though, because it's in Lucin and it is a ghost town, you're not going to have lots of visitors, right? You've got to acknowledge that. But be sure to share your thoughts down below. Does Candice Cooley know about this? How would she respond? I don't think she would be too pleased. Although it's been handed in to the sheriffs and I guess the right thing has been done and no footage at this moment in time of the actual item has been shown, which is probably the best thing, to be honest. I think Candice Cooley wouldn't be too pleased because of like the bag and bones situation in the past, Ty Corbin being present for that, Candice Cooley not really being in the mood, you get what I'm saying? Now, at the end of the day, if this is Dylan Round's hat, turns out, does it lead to Dylan Rounds being found? Not exactly. It's another piece of evidence, correct. But does it serve as a prompt to point in a particular direction as to where Dylan Rounds is at? No, not really. It's not in the wash, near-ish to the pond where the phone was found, so you could acknowledge that at least. I guess, despite it not leading to Dylan being found immediately, you could suggest that it opens up new leads. And to be honest, in a way, that's exactly what my prediction was a month or two ago, that we need something new. We need an interesting new piece of evidence to open up either a new direction to go in or a new lead which unlocks a new person or an existing individual within the case. That's exactly what I said. And at this moment in time, it appears to be happening, right? So yeah, you see the hat and you think, could be Dylan's, maybe, maybe not. Is Dylan around here? Doesn't really look like it. Does it point in a direction, a prompt? Not really. But where is it near to? Don Hately's. Oh, Don Hately. Considering people have been suspicious of Don Hately in the past, considering that Don Hately has tagged along with Brenner throughout the Dylan Rounds case at the start and maybe midway through, did Brenner tell Don something and Don hasn't revealed it to the general public? Or did Don play more of a vital physical role in helping Brenner? You never know, right? All these different factors to take in mind, and maybe an item of Dylan's or some form of clothing found near to Don's could imply some kind of involvement. As said, we can get down to the bottom of it truly whenever it is that DNA is, explained. I don't know how long it will take, weeks, longer, but it's good that something has been found, but I do understand that there'll be people out there a little bit skeptical due to how it was found and where it was found, right, in the open. Seems a bit hard to believe after all this time, right? Though you could put the argument across and say, well, sometimes you overthink things and it tends to be in plain sight. People said that about Dylan Rounds. That's not really happened yet. But with a bit of evidence like this, maybe it could apply and reinforce it. Just let me know your thoughts. So, let's head on over to the maps, just briefly, visually, to map it out roughly where Ty Corbin was. Right, so in that footage, you did hear Ty Corbin list some named locations, places of interest, places we've heard of beforehand. So it kind of makes it a bit easier to map things out. Lucin there, the marker nearby Lucin Pond. Take in mind the satellite imagery is 2019, but I've been successful in using it this late on, so we continue with it, okay? So yeah, there you go, there's Lucin Pond. Now, Ty Corbin wasn't stood directly there, he was a bit further away from it. I'll flip the image as well so it's a bit easier. There was like a I don't know if you'd call it a mountain, a hill, a peak, whichever one you call it, Ty Corbin pointed to in the distance, saying over that way, over the hill, leads up to Don Haley's place of living, former place of living, where his trailer's at. Okay. In another direction, he talks about Little Pigeon Mountain. So we just zoom in. Let's just use a rough spot here. It might not be the best at this moment in time, but he was pointing to Lucin Pond that way. Little Pigeon, though, is further on into the distance. Let's try and make that out. Sun Tunnel's that way. Little Pigeon is the one here. This is Little Pigeon, okay, this area. There you go, Little Pigeon Mountains, which I believe Ty Corbin pointed to in the distance when he was from over that way, okay? He did pan around to another peak or another little mountain. The one here, this one. This, if I'm correct in saying, is known as Lucin Hill, okay? This area, Lucin Hill, is the place I originally thought where Don Haley was at, okay? Where his trailer was. Some people said yes, other people said no. The odd person said, well, the odd person username was called Bouncy Bounce. Blue light coloured profile picture on YouTube said it's on the other side of Lucin Hill. On the other side here, where Don is at. Okay, but it's been so back and forth with time. The other location, which was pointed out as where Don was living at, which I think Ty Corbin pointed to as well. We'll get to that in a second. So Ty Corbin would have been over this way. I'm not, it could be this road here. This one, might possibly, where the car was parked. But it was like roughly in this area. And he said over the hill. You can see how it dips down and stuff. So if you're in a certain spot, it's like a blind spot, right? Got to take in mind vegetation has changed with time of the pond too, because of how it's been demolished when people went down there, authority, to look for Dylan in the early 2023. Okay. He did pan the camera around looking over that way. Lucin Hill. Said Patterson Pass as well. Patterson Pass is over in the distance. Near to Bald Eagle Mountain. Might be actually, no, it's probably past that. Patterson Pass. Road which goes all the way up and over Patterson Pass and goes into Montello. So over that way, that's where Ty Corbin was pointing to, up this way, okay, past Lucin Hill. So it definitely would have been around this spot. Was he on this side or on the other side of the railroad tracks? I'd say before the railroad tracks, because I didn't really see the angle of the tracks. And I didn't see him cross over any either. So yeah, we've got that marker there, Lucin Hill. The marker over there. He said over that way is going into Montello, which is true. Which road is it that goes to Montello? Well, this one can. Any others here? Well, they'll probably connect onto the main highway, which then eventually can go into Montello. But it looked more like a dirt road Ty Corbin was pointing to. The main area, though, which Ty Corbin said, over that way. And really, the only little mountain, little hill within the area, which was close in camera shot, like Lucin Hill was the other way, was up this way, which I'm pointing to here. This area, okay? Yeah. this area here. That's what it appeared to be, what he was pointing to, saying over this way on the other side of the hill. Something like that. If I just zoom on out, okay? It's near to the west entrance transcontinental. On the other side of the hill. On the other side of that hill. Part of it. On the other side of it, there is a trailer. Flip the image. Here, in this area. Here. There are other buildings and stuff around, just the foundations. I've no clue what that is. There appears to be a road. That one there, that road, you could say that's the private road, which no one has driven down from the looks of it. Connects on to this dirt road here. Lucin Pond being here. Maybe, I mean, you got to understand, Ty Corbin was parked on the dirt road and he was not too far from Lucin Pond on foot. The video itself was about 7 minutes worth. So 7 minutes worth of walking and talking, heading towards his parked car could well be near to this zone. How did he cross over there from the railroad tracks? Might be a silly question, that, to be honest. As I said, it's not perfect, this, but just doing what I can. So really, this was the area which Ty Corbin was pointing to in the distance, because when you look around, there's just not really any other places besides Lucin Hill here. And over that way in the distance, that's where he was pointing to Little Pigeon Mountains. And a bit further over that way is Pigeon Mountain. Well, Little Pigeon Mountain is here. And Pigeon Mountain, not little, but just Pigeon Mountain, is adjacent to it, which is here. Yeah. And Bovine Mountains is over in that distance. Okay. But what I do want to do, though, is at least show you the imagery of a trailer parked up at least, because where I pointed to, there was no indication of it. But this is 2019, it's outdated. Let me at least show you more up-to-date imagery of this area Ty Corbin was pointing to in the distance. So what we were just looking at then is what we're looking at now. The only difference is more updated imagery, satellite imagery. As well, I'm not able to flip the screen and be on ground level because Bing Maps is limited. But on the other side of that hill, like where those foundations were, as pointed out there, look what you can see parked up, a white RV trailer with 2 vehicles parked nearby. So most likely this was before Don Hately left the area. This is the area what Ty Corbin was pointing to, and the road itself, as you can follow, centered the screen, which comes all the way down, which it's hard to see, but adjacent, very close to that private road, you've got the power lines, the overhead power lines, those little black lines which follow the road all the way up to here, okay? So this is definitely the way Ty Corbin was pointing, right? And where it was found, the hat was kind of like within this zone centered the screen. I think the car was parked up on that main dirt road, Pilot Mountain Road, by Ty Corbin, and it was just off from the road down here somewhere. So in terms of distance, how far is it? Under a mile. Under a mile easily. So it's not that far away, to be fair, as like what Ty Corbin said. So we can acknowledge that at least. Maybe if the hat was much closer to Don's supposed living place, former place of living, it could be extra suspicious, right? You could say, well, what about if someone's buried right near to the trailer of Don's? You get what I'm saying? So just point it out one more time so people are fully aware of things. I just want to zoom out. Here is Lucin Pond, okay, which Ty Corbin pointed out. I believe this is Lucin Hill. And this area here, just before it, this area here on the other side of the little hill is where Don's place is at, where he used to live. Supposedly his trailer is still there to this day. The only thing is, when I did a past video covering this spot saying location revealed of Don, there was a handful responses by people saying, nope, that's not the correct area. That's where Lance Kelly got mixed up with another person living here. You get what I'm saying? There was a few people contesting it and saying this is not the spot where Don Haley lived. But Ty Corbin is saying this is the spot where Don Haley lived. Lance Kelly in the past also said, roughly speaking, this is the spot. But then you got a few people contesting it. The people contesting it, is it because they know more? Or are they trying to throw others off the scent? And what I do also want to say is, considering that people have gone down to the grain shed property, other people over time, maybe moved some items, took some stuff from the place, right? Even though technically it's a crime scene. If people do that, then why has absolutely no one gone down to Don Haley's former place of living in Lucin? Why has no one gone down to the trailer? I mean, you'd expect the police to have done so in the early days, but I'm not for sure if that's really the case. If anyone can reinforce it, then feel free to do so. I believe that it must have been, well, something to do with the gun situation. But then again, it was Don Haley that surrendered the guns and himself in. I know there was talk in the past where people said that the police back then, early days, around June time, went to Brenner's trailer or passed by it and saw the guns inside Brenner's trailer. Brenner probably catched onto that and then decided to pass the guns on to Don Haley so that when the police do come back, the guns wouldn't be there. Okay. So maybe the police did go down to Don's. But besides that, considering the police haven't always done a good job supposedly speaking, why has no one else gone down to Don Haley's place? Ty Corbin says because it's like private land, it's a private road, this one, centered the screen where those overhead power lines are. Okay. Does it really stop people though? Like, Don Haley no longer lives there, so does he have cameras up? Is there any cameras within the area? Lucin, ghost town, pretty much empty, more so now. Will you get caught? Will you get in trouble if you go down to Don Haley's trailer to investigate? That's my question. If Don doesn't even live there and not really anyone's around, is anyone going to see you? You know what I'm saying? If a hat was found nearby to Don's place, isn't it of interest to maybe investigate closer to Don's property? Because you never know what else you may find out there, right? There's a lot of possibilities of what could happen, what should be done, what could be done, but ultimately, will it happen? Well, maybe it might be determined by the results of that hat when the DNA results come on in, however long that will take. if it is to do with Dylan, it might lead on to a possible probe into the area closer to Don's trailer, right? Let me know your thoughts down below. I do hope this video is somewhat easy to follow and understand up to this moment in time. Let me know in the live chat right now if you pretty much understand most of it. Dale is an exception. He'll probably say, what? What? Graham, if Graham's present, what? What? Yeah. That aside, everyone else, let me know if you understand up to now about this hat being found, the possibilities, the location, how much it links to the case or not, right? I've tried balancing it out, right? Hopefully you get the idea of the location as well, visually speaking. If Ty Corbin needs to add in any additional points, feel free to do so. But what we need to do now, still on the topic subject of Dylan Rounds, I want to summarise to you what happened yesterday regarding other channels, other discussions. Badger Life made a point earlier to do with shout out to Tom for defending Warlike Wrath against Jim Terry. When I saw that, I was like, what? And then you had that Freddy Krueger person saying, watch out, Wrath, there is someone coming after you. It's kind of like, wait, what is going on? So hopefully people in the chat are somewhat focused, because it's kind of important stuff, this. And as well, because there have been live streams recently on Bob's channel, hours long, and some channel called Crime Time with Jessica. Now, it makes me think, is Crime Time with Jess the main account? There was like an impersonation account in the past called Agent Jessica Monday, with spelt with a U. The profile picture looked a little bit similar to Crime Time with Jess. So in the past, did the Agent Jessica account, was that an impersonation of Crime Time with Jess? Because that impersonation account did bits of footage of me, Ty Corbin, Weedleby, and like my stuff without consent. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, let's just put that aside for now. What we do need to do, though, is look at a summary from the perspective of an individual that was briefly watching these live streams at the time from yesterday. For everyone else in the chat that didn't watch them, maybe this summary will help better your understanding as to what's gone on. And it ties in with the whole short-term burst of this new wave of information and ideas coming about, which could be rumours, could be pure BS, right? But let's read it, let's understand, and see what the talk is about Jim Terry and all that happened. Right, so to kick things off, which did coincide roughly yesterday, someone said to me in a comment saying, oh yeah, you definitely pissed Jim Terry off. He had a whole rant about you on Rumble, called you everything but a gentleman. Now, maybe to some people, you could say, well, that's rich coming from him. In my opinion, I personally don't know what's going on. You know, I'm not active too much on Rumble. I'm not, on there 24/7. I'm more focused on YouTube, as most of you will be already aware. So whatever is spoken about by Jim Terry or even Pancakes or anyone other than that, or the Bitch Boy Posse Gang, I don't know. I'm not going to know, right? Because I'm focused on Dylan Rounds, which is a positive in its own right. Yeah? Just let me know your thoughts if you witnessed something. People in the chat right now or in the background, whether you're from my channel, whether you're from Pancake's channel, or even those from Jim Terry's, feel free to add in your own points and ideas and what you saw, what you witnessed, just to better the understanding, right? But yeah, so supposedly I triggered Jim Terry. He had a rant on Rumble. Good for him. Right. This is moving more on to the videos on the YouTube side yesterday, live streams. One individual left a comment reaching out saying, I'm watching Crime Time with Jess. Jim Terry was on there for about 10 minutes and she threw him off, kicked him off. He talked about Dylan's actions Saturday and the video. So Dylan's actions on Saturday, I assume 28th of May 2022, if I'm correct. What were those actions, though? The actions we know of, or the actions Jim Terry supposedly knows? Let me know, okay? But the fact that it says Jess kicked Jim Terry off after 10 minutes of him talking, it does say a lot, right? Jim Terry appearing here, appearing there, and then he just gets kicked off after a short time. Either he's doing something wrong or the channels aren't willing to listen to him. And to be honest, I think it might slant one way more than the other. Maybe some of you agree. So, to be honest, if you do get kicked off left, right and centre, it doesn't really say much about you, to be honest, in a way. You know, as like a future reference, you hear about this individual that wants to come onto your channel and talk to you, or maybe talk at you, depending the scenario. And you hear that they've been kicked off multiple shows, left, right and centre. You think, oh, that's a bit of a unfortunate pattern, that. Though there'll be some channels, though, out there that will allow Jim Terry to talk and hear things out. Sometimes it works out. Other times, maybe not so much, right? What else does this person say? They're saying how quiet and respectful Dylan was. Then Taylina cleared up a few things. They put the horse down because he was full of cancer. Right, okay. Right. He talked about Dylan's actions Saturday and the video, how quiet and respectful Dylan was. Right. Okay, so I assume Jim Terry commenting on that footage he has, which he's presented to people, that dash cam cop footage back in 2021 when they were pulled over by police. Dylan Rounds gets out of his vehicle, then gets interrogated by a policeman, sheriff, whatever you want to call it, and Dylan's kind of quiet, but he's respectful. Okay, understand that. And the way it's worded here, Jim Terry acknowledged that too. Right. And it's saying Taylina cleared up some of the things as well. So to do with Brenner's horse being put down because of it being full of cancer. Sounds a bit weird, that, saying full of cancer. It's a weird way of wording it. Basically, it had cancer. It needed to be put down to prevent any more suffering, basically. Now, to be honest, we have heard that for quite some time now. But I guess Taylina, whoever they are, just basically clearing things up, right? If anyone wondering who Taylina is, I personally don't know if Taylina has appeared on my channel or not. She might have done. I think she's appeared on Pancakes, but Taylina is Kurt Wadsworth's daughter. So if at any point you feel that Taylina is being quite defensive of Kurt Wadsworth, well, it's because it's family defending one another, standing up for, father. Does that make sense? Anyway, this person goes on to say, in summary, Taylina also goes on to say, Don has the dog of Brenner's. Okay, well, I never knew Brenner had a dog. What type of dog was it? What breed? Was Brenner as protective over his dog as he was with the horse? Don't know. Taylina. She talks about why police were so easy on Chase Venstra and Robert Aviles, and maybe Don struck a deal with Box Elder. Whoa. So we're just going all over the place here. As said, it is a summary, so it will be somewhat vague. Okay. And this was last night on Crime Time with Jess channel and Taylina being guest panel, clearing up stuff. She talks about why police were so easy on Chase and Robert. I mean, you could interpret it as they were easy on those two because they weren't directly tied with Dylan's disappearance. That could be one way of looking at it. But the bit where it's saying how Taylina suggesting that Don struck a deal with Box Elder, now that probably comes from where Indiana highlighted it. She must have heard it from Taylina at some point about this striking a deal. I know Indiana will be saying, oh, it's not me again, stop calling me out. Well, I don't know why, but Indiana's name always pops up here and there when it comes to this information being retrieved from elsewhere, right? And maybe a couple of people have said it too. But yeah, I mentioned it in yesterday's video, I think, where I was referring to how general public, some were pointing out that maybe Don struck a deal with Box Elder. That's why he left Lucin and in hiding or something. But as we've heard recently with Ty Corbin's video and that cap being found near to Don's original place, and Justin, around about the same time, but before that, calling out Don Haley, saying, if you've got any involvement in this, I'm going to come on down. I mean, it doesn't sound like Don is striking a deal with the police, does it? Let me know your thoughts. As well, saying, the thing that bothers me the most was Jess at least 20 times said Brenner chopped Dylan up. What does she know that we don't? Good point, that. Couple of people over time have talked about Dylan being chopped up. More so, it originated from the psychic readers, the spirit boxes, the crystals, you know, those type of people, spirituals, delusional individuals, I don't know. But yeah, trying to reach out to Dylan Rounds to hear his voice from the other side of life. Yeah, seems a bit far-fetched. And they kept going on about saying Dylan's chopped up, Dylan's chopped up. Majority of those spirit channels ended up parting ways from the Dylan Rounds case and have not been heard of since because they've moved on to other stuff. So did they really provide much help in the Dylan Rounds case? Not really. You could argue that they added more confusion, possibly. Now, this is the thing. Miss T Guidance said she used a spirit box, a spirit reader in the past, and it said something to do with Justin seeking revenge towards someone. Bit vague, but Guidance, would you say it's believable? Would you say that spirit boxes, crystals are an accurate, reliable source of gaining information in solving a serious true crime case? I'll tell you one thing in general from my extensive experience within the Kenny Veach case, which is significantly, and I say that with confidence, significantly stronger spiritually, people tapping in, understanding Kenny Veach, because Kenny Veach was spiritual, some of his family was spiritual, they got a spiritual shop, and all these references as well in between. There was more spirit readers, psychics, card readers, all of that stuff, maybe astral projections in Watch of Crazy terms, asteroids, hemorrhoids elsewhere, but you know, a lot going on spiritually. People reaching out with information, people reaching out to searchers here and there, reaching out to hikers. And I'll tell you with 100% confidence, out of all that spirituality and information and psychics and card readers bringing up information from what they've heard, not a single piece was valid, reliable, or led to a finding. Every single piece of spiritual information which was retrieved by these people was a complete waste of time, okay? It was a waste of time. Does that mean it translates to the Dylan Rounds case as well? No, not really. But it doesn't say much good, does it? You know, if you come from that background, from that experience, and then you come on over to the Dylan Rounds case and hear about all this spiritual stuff, there's a chance that you'll probably be thinking, oh, here we go again. I wouldn't say, personally, I felt a great deal of confidence in the spiritual psyche stuff in the Dylan Rounds case either, okay? All these people saying that Dylan's chopped up, okay? Well, if at some point there is evidence to prove it, then okay, it kind of reinforces, right? But yeah, Jess, roughly at least 20 times saying Brenna chopped Dylan up. Jess just said that she has heard that the video was 2 hours long and it shows Brenna cutting off Dylan's head. What? No verification. I did personally hear from a private source that the video showed more blood, much more blood than we have been told. Now, this video, 2 hours long, is this all in relation to the 27-second clip from Dylan's phone of Brenna in the trailer at 7:27 a.m. timestamp, the 28th of May 2022, the day Dylan was murdered? Is that what we're talking about here? That no, it wasn't 27 seconds long, it was 2 hours long. Now, the way it was worded by the police at the time, they called it a time lapse. Now, a time lapse tends to be a video which is recording for quite some time and then it's sped up afterwards. So the video itself naturally is like 2 hours long, but once recorded and processed, it's only like a couple of minutes or seconds because everything's sped up. I've used hyperlapse and time-lapse myself, right, when looking at the sky. A 5-hour video translates to like a 2-minute, 37-second video, right? So like a 2-hour one will be probably under a minute long, possibly. So I can understand that from that perspective. Like, if Dylan had the phone accidentally recording, but the bit where it's saying Brenna chopped Dylan's head off, that just seems a little bit too extreme. You know, this makes me think, are we suddenly in Syria 2015 all over again? Has the bulldozer come back and been revitalised with his long sword with the prisoners? What's going on? Has Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi come back? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it doesn't seem believable. The first part about Dylan being chopped up doesn't seem believable. There's no real evidence to prove it, right? Besides the spiritual stuff and people having these rumours. The fact that saying that it's 2 hours long, this footage, and Brenna cutting this and that, says no verification, probably for good reason. And saying that the video showed more blood than you'd think. Well, I don't know, to be honest. Just seems a bit far-fetched. That's why I wanted to include a summary from last night. You know, if you used to sit there for like 2 hours long, do you really want to? Or would you just rather see this summary? So it saves you the time and the headache, I guess. Though with it being summarised, yes, it is a bit more vague and it's a bit more extreme type scenario, but you get the idea quicker of what was really being talked about. But let me know your thoughts about this. Anything else? Oh, Bob as well, because Bob was doing a video last night. Shout out to Bob, though, just in general for his super chat yesterday. So this person says, on Bob's show last night, he said he was told Dylan was decapitated and dismembered. But by who? And what I would like to know is the people that know this and have spread it about to others, where did they hear it from originally? If they are the main ones to distribute it in the first place, where did they get that information from? You'd assume the only way they would know is if they have seen the video or if they were there at the time to witness it. And depending what category it falls under, it doesn't really matter. If that's the circumstance, then technically they haven't reached out to the police. Instead, they've been reaching out to general public and people on YouTube, putting that first before reaching out to the authorities behind the scene. And because it's been done in that style, that way, it seems more like a popularity contest to be recognised and acknowledged that you've got some hard-hitting evidence, which is a load of BS. I mean, it's like Joy Perry, the time where Joy Perry was like, oh yeah, I've got this information here, I've got this information there, but I've passed it on to Doug, but I've not passed it on to the right set of people, and now I've deleted it ever since. And it's like, well, that's not much help, is it? You get what I'm saying? If you truly do have evidence, some kind of understanding with proof, even if it's gory, even if it's extreme, it should be handled appropriately and sent to the right people appropriately, not thrown about on YouTube, right? And people could say, well, that's rich coming from you, Warlight Raph. You've uploaded 300 videos on this case and covered material. Yeah, 300 videos, but quite a few of them were theory-based, storytelling, trying to interpret, make sense of stuff, right? If I suddenly had a video of Dylan, like some kind of ISIS execution video, am I going to think, oh yeah, I'm just going to post it online first so everyone can see it? No. First of all, that'd be going against TOS with YouTube. And you know what YouTube's like at the moment, it would be a disaster. Second of all, not exactly appropriate. Third of all, very sensitive material, which probably should be sent elsewhere, right? So there is certain stuff you got to be careful with. And I guess it kind of ties in line with recently, Ty Corbyn. Yeah, he's taken photos. Yeah, he's done a video, but did he directly show it in the video? No, because it's possibly important evidence, and at this moment in time, it shouldn't be shown yet. Though, if it was Lance Kelly, is there a chance that Lance Kelly would have recorded it, fiddled about with it, and uploaded it public, and then sent it into the police? Maybe a higher chance and a possibility there, right? Sometimes it's good being hands-on, other times it can backfire. Anyway, what else is here? Saying searchers yesterday found an article of Dylan's clothing very near Don's property. Yeah, that's what we looked at earlier on in this video. Thus, Justin got set off. So what? We're saying that Justin went off on one after hearing about the bit of clothing found near to Don's place, which was acknowledged by Ty Corbyn. Yet, in terms of the timing of it all, take in mind the time zone difference does play a factor. I heard about and saw Justin's reaction before this whole clothing scenario. If you look back at the timestamps, I mean, if it is in the order, the way it's worded here, then that's in a way better because it gives a better understanding and motive to why Justin called out Don recently, because it kind of links. Now, if it's before that, then it makes you think, then if Justin reacted how he did with Don then, before knowing about the hat, then what the hell is he thinking right now? You get me? Next one. Ty Corbyn said a lady named Kelly from Montello was out searching John Deere. Yep. Okay. Basically, all that there is what we've heard earlier on in this video, roughly speaking. Okay? Just let you read it yourself. You can pause the video too, rewind back. So that was about it for the summary of what went down last night, besides my breaking news video. I guess the video by Crime Time with Jess, titled 1 year anniversary of Dylan, the only second person to acknowledge it. Just to bring back up, if you put her channel aside, I am the only channel on YouTube, and maybe Rumble as well, if you include it, to have acknowledged Dylan Round's 1 year anniversary. Besides, you know, the obvious family and the Facebook page, I'm the only YouTuber to acknowledge Dylan's anniversary. Where's everyone else gone? Where's everyone else acknowledging the anniversary? Where's Doug at? I thought Doug was in contact with Candice Cooley. I thought Doug was going to do an interview with Candice Cooley or some kind of post in his community tab, since it's all about Dylan. Though, maybe, and I will acknowledge the possibility that maybe on Dylan's legacy YouTube account, something could be there. Though, when I did type in Dylan Rounds and you adjust the relevancy, you know what videos pop up first? Me. As expected, considering the amount of videos I've uploaded and the consistency, the frequency, and the use and the correct use of hashtags and tags in general. As said, besides all the other part-timers and half-hearted people, you go on the Kenny Veach M Cave case and you look through those hashtags and it's basically full pages of my videos, because that's how consistent I've been, right? Obviously, there'll always be a popularity contest between the odd random channel that's covered the case and has more views, that's about it. But in terms of majority, it's of me. Not literally of me, but my coverage on the case. And the same is starting to happen with Dylan Rounds, exactly as I expected from the beginning. Okay? So, in summary, today we talked about possible new evidence being found, balancing for and against arguments about it, showing the location roughly speaking on the maps as well as Don's place of living from the looks of it, checking back on past comments from the last videos, giving a summary of the other channels last night, Jim Terry supposedly having a meltdown, getting his pants in a twist, which may or may not be the case, I don't know because I wasn't around to see it, and supposedly someone is coming after me, someone is coming to get me or to shut me down. The only point I will add in and say to conclude with this video, if a human or humans come after me, my channel, to try and silence me, shut me down, you know, they do what they think that needs to be done, but it's not quite practical because in a way, if you take my channel down, if you take me down, you're also taking down Dylan Rounds, Kenny Veach, and other mystery videos. You are silencing each one. You are silencing those missing people. You take the channel down, the videos go down as well. The progress, clearing up stuff, the clarity, the focus here, the breaking news there, all goes with it, okay? So besides having the odd disagreement, lover's tiff with another content creator out there, are you okay with going backwards on a case? Are you okay with that? Because if that did happen, there's always a possibility, right? Not going to deny it, there's always a possibility. But if that did happen, what that would imply is whoever has done it or whoever will do it technically doesn't want those missing people to be found. If you wanted those missing people to be found, then you would allow these videos to remain up besides those personal disagreements with one another. You get what I'm saying? So we'll see what happens with time. As said, the YouTube situation is YouTube themselves. They said they've stretched their resources upon me. My God, about time, man. Okay? And this is the thing. If YouTube, you know, are a little bit naughty, oh, I'm sorry, it's as much as I can show. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Bit of a heavy video, bit of a long one. I did generate new ideas for other videos in between, but this one got right in the way because it was yet another unexpected video. Possibly breaking news, you could call it, right? As I said, I want to make the title appropriate as possible and relevant. Get that balance. If people have additional questions, comments, be sure to list it down below in the comments section. If you want to help spread awareness of this finding, feel free to check out Ty Corbyn's video and feel free to like this video, and it should help spread awareness because it's starting to show in recent time, as I said. Keep that case alive, reignite things, and it might even bring people back, the right type of people, okay? As said, in general, the reason why I might not be in the loop with all the drama is simply because that drama has kind of moved away. Not all, but some of it has. Because if certain people's channels are no longer on YouTube, they'll be elsewhere. So those conversations will follow too. In between, and as of now, like a year ago, I'm still doing Dylan Rounds. Simple as. So, see what happens next. You got grievances, list it down below. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye and good night.